Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Did you guys hear anything today? Something happened? Anywhere? Something? Anything? Oh, yeah, stuff did happen today. Crazy stuff? No. Kind of I was watching it unfold, and then I watched several different newscasts that were going on, and just watching the whole thing, and I just thought it's create your own story, right? Choose your own path. If you're the Democrats, you're going in a certain direction. They're calling for impeachment again. But the optics, even from a lot of people who are at least honest on the left, that are willing to say, look, my team didn't perform well today. Or they didn't get anything out of it. America's not going, yeah, you got to go after him. Because there was nothing new. And even though you wanted to paint a picture, the picture you painted didn't change anybody's mind. That's the reality of this. And that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to change people's mind. They said most people didn't read this book. Most people didn't do what a lot of us had done, which was read the book and come up with the conclusion that this guy was bad and that he should go. So we're going to have to hold these hearings. And in doing so, we're going to show you, hey, this guy needs to go. And we're going to do it right now. We're going to do it.
Did you actually totally exonerate the president?
No.
There you go. What does that mean, though? That's the whole thing. Well, you didn't exonerate him, so that must mean he's guilty. Hold on a second. Everybody slow your roll. Everybody slow your roll. Today was first started out the judicial, and then, boom, afternoon session was the swimsuit or the intelligence. It should have been flipped. They should have started with the intelligence, Russia, and then moved. Because the morning session was a dud. It was a wah, 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 wah. And the afternoon session, I mean, the reality is we already knew that he wasn't guilty of collusion, right? Did he do some things that were questionable? Yes. You can easily make that argument. But for all intents and purposes, there was nothing here, right? There was nothing here. So now what? That's the question everybody's asking. Now what? Well, can we pursue him afterwards? Because we want him. We want him. We do. We're coming for him.
Could you charge the president with a crime after he left office?
Yes.
You believe that you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office?
Yes.
Anybody can be charged. The Office of Legal Counsel, OLC, you'll hear that. You're like, what the hell is that? They wrote a memo paper that says, essentially, which everybody kind of abide by, that you can't charge a sitting president, right? You can't do it. So you're not going to charge a sitting president, then what? You got to come for him, right? You got to lay everything out. And remember, this is political theater. Because nobody read the book, so we're going to show everybody the movie, right? This is nobody read the book except for a small few group of people who became enthralled with it, and they turned it into a bestseller in their own minds. But it was kind of a dud to everybody else, right? So you got to lay the whole thing out from top to bottom, bottom to top, top, bottom, 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 top, 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 bottom, and then you go from there.
Donald Trump, 1, committed an obstructive act. 2, connected to an official proceeding. 3, did so with corrupt intent. Those are the elements of obstruction of justice. This is the United States of America. No one is above the law. No one. The president must be held accountable one way or the other.
Totally fine with that. Absolutely. Hold people accountable 110%. So he grandstands. Everybody grandstands today. That's what it's all about. Jim Jordan, Hakeem Jeffries, Nadler, Schiff, you name it, the opportunity, Gates, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to grandstand. I'm going to do my thing. right? Debbie Lesko earlier. She was the one who closed it out from Arizona. Doing the thing. Here's my 5 minutes. Let me show you what I can do. And in doing so, I need a gotcha. And a lot of times I tried to close it out. Hakeem Jeffries, for 4.5 minutes, laid this entire thing out with a few yes or no's that made it look like he was guilty. But before, everybody talked about that during the break. Well, this could be it. This is the thing. But what they leave out is what Mueller said afterwards. And we'll get to Mueller here in a minute. So after all of that laying out and the whole thought of, yes, he's obstructed justice, this is what he has done. Don't you understand it? You see it. Don't you see it? You get it. You agree with me.
But let me just say, if I might, I don't subscribe necessarily to your the way you analyze that. I'm not saying it's out of the ballpark, but I'm not supportive of that analytical charge.
Thank you.
Yeah. Meaning, look, you're all trying to do this, but I'm not buying into it. It's a political thing. It's a political thing. Come here. I want everybody to get a little closer to the radio. Let me tell you what happened. Could he have obstructed? Yeah. Were there times when it felt like he obstructed, looked like he obstructed? Yeah. Could you prove it, though? They never went down that path. They came to like it's the choose your own path thing. And they came to one path that says dead end, not going anywhere, don't do it, game ends here. And they said, well, we can't go down there because the game will end. And even if you turn it over, there's no other page. So you can't even continue. So they moved to the other direction. Meaning there was nothing that they were going to do. Why go down a path that you know that you're not going to be able to pursue anything? He might have looked deeper and found out, you know what? He's done something. He might have looked deeper and went, there's nothing here. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. The Democrats, they don't look any better today. America's not clamoring for stuff. They're not going, okay, impeachment time, impeachment time, impeachment time. They're not. They're not clamoring for any of that. They're looking around and saying to themselves, we better figure something out. Nancy's got to come up with something. We've got to do something. There has to be something here. We've got to do something. We must. We absolutely must. But what is that? More investigations? Here's what the American people care about. According to a new report, not this. A new Gallup poll. Immigration. Health care. Better leadership for our government. Race issues. Those things matter. The economy. Russia never comes up. This never comes up. What we got today was political theater. They wanted you to take a look at the movie and decide for yourself, was it worthy of a sequel, i.e. an impeachment? And the answer to that question is no. No. It's not. Here's what you're going to do. If you want to impeach him in a different way. Do it at the ballot box. That's the reality of this. Was he cleared of everything? No. And everybody will say, but he wasn't cleared. But you know what he also wasn't? He wasn't guilty. And that's something to also keep in mind.
He also made it very clear that there was no mechanism for indicting a sitting president under current Justice Department rules, that there was only one remedy left in our legal system, and that remedy would be impeachment. And I think you are going to hear a number of people make that point as a result of these hearings.
So wait a minute. You didn't get the answer you wanted, right? So you didn't get the answer you wanted with the Mueller investigation. You feel that Trump is still guilty of something? Go ahead. Go for it. But you're risking a lot more than you realize. You're risking a ton more than you realize. And the opportunity, don't be surprised if the next few days when they start releasing some polls that Trump will have ticked up more than a little bit. Because he'll be looked at as a semi-sympathetic figure. And the more that they continue to go down the road, the more that people are going to start to say, you know what, it feels a little witch hunting now. It does. It feels just a smidge of a witch hunt. Like you didn't get what you wanted. Things didn't go the way that you wanted it to go. You didn't get what you wanted out of that. So now you're looking at, well, we're going to do this. Then do it. But it's a long process, by the way. It is let's just put it this way. There's a chance they come back, they leave Friday. for a 6 week recess. So they're gone for 6 weeks. They come back. If they even think about doing something, that could take us through the end of August. September, they decide that they're going to try an impeachment, which is going to fail, by the way, because this didn't influence any Republican in the Senate. And you're not going to get 67 votes. So you go and do this. You're going to make him a sympathetic figure. And by the time he comes out the other side, he's going to be a freight train. And you've set your 2020 opponents up for a slaughter. And on top of that, you've put people who have much closer races than a lot of people that are clamoring for impeachment now in the House up for a potential ass kicking. You got to ask yourself, do we just want to investigate a little bit more, make his life a little bit more uncomfortable, block out a little bit more when it comes to certain things? It's a possibility. Maybe we do that rather than trying something else that may make him a sympathetic figure. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So much stuff to get to today. We're going to try to squeeze it all in. But with all of this going on, it is a perfect time for North Korea to do something.
What was launched isn't clear right now. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff says North Korea launched 2 unidentifiable objects a few minutes apart. The launches came between 5 and 6 a.m. on Thursday, Korea time. The 2 objects flew about 267 miles. The last test by North Korea was on May 9th when it launched a short-range missile.
So he may have called them up, right, because they're such pals. He may say, look, here's the deal. I don't know how this thing's going to go. This thing could go south fast. Right? Could you do me a solid, my man? Lil Kim. Can you do me a solid? LK. Paul calls him LK. Can you do me a solid, which is fire some, I don't care what it is, right? Take a couple of your generals you don't like, fire them off, one of those big T-shirt cannons. And that way people maybe start talking about this. And then he forgot. He's like, I forgot to tell him. No, it went okay. Did it anyways. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. What will the Dems do, and how did Bob Mueller do? Text the program. Got a poll question up. Talk about that as well. We've got some fun stories. Not just all this, kids. Chad Benson's got plenty of stuff. Keep you interested in more than just this. This is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you. That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable.
This is Chad Benson.
Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusation started. Maybe it's to go back and actually figure out why Joseph Nipsett was lying to the FBI. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. That's exactly what Bill Barr's doing.
Jim Jordan there. That's his grandstanding moment. Lots of grandstanding today, guys. Both sides, very grandstandy. One thing that was very interesting today, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, Bob Mueller's a good guy, right? He is. The Democrats were really behind him. Everybody talked about what a great guy he is. And a good majority of Republicans who've known him for years, FBI director, the whole nine, they said, look, he's a good dude. He's a straight shooter. He is. And he didn't like this stuff. I mean, he released a report a couple months later, does his press conference. He didn't want to be there. He was subpoenaed. They brought him in, and the Dog and Pony Show began today. He struggled, right? This is a guy who cares about who he is, his legacy, right? Vietnam vet, decorated Bronze Star winner, was wounded, was shot in Vietnam in a firefight. By all accounts, as upstanding as it gets. He struggled. C-SPAN had a bunch of old Bob Mueller stuff on last night, him testifying. This was almost, I think, his 90th time he had done something like this where he's testified. Nothing as big as this, but some big stuff. He was sharp. He was quick. He was terse. He was one word. He didn't get into the... Today, he struggled. Now, granted, he had 500 pages to pretty much remember, comparatively to the 3 or 4 pages or 5 pages that these people had taken and said, all right, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go this direction and I'm going to attack here. He's got to try to remember it all. But he struggled tremendously. He contradicted himself. He had some issues. He looked, I'm going to say this. He looked like he wasn't all there at times. A little confused. And I don't, and both sides, and that's the thing, right? You want to get your opponent at times off balance. And the difference is if you're a Democrat, you're going to come at him in a much different way, right? He's your opponent, but you want to you're the good cop in some ways, trying to get him to spill something. And on the other side of it, the Republicans, you're the bad cop because you're attacking him to protect the president. And he looked befuddled. He looked confused. And you tell he didn't want to be there. You did. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Of course, you've got the other people. Yes, the Democrats out talking about what is next, where we're going with this, and what could be next.
It is a crossing of a threshold in terms of the public awareness of what happened and how it conforms to the law or not.
Don't know what that means, Nancy. But the reality is Nancy's got a tough job because there are people calling for, let's take this thing further, let's go for it. The optics, I think, weren't great. And the American people, what is the appetite? They will tell you. If they're ready for impeachment, they will tell you. They're not ready for it. They're ready for people to get to work. They're ready for people to do their job, to start working on immigration, to start working on health care the way it should be. They're ready for that. The picture you painted today was nothing that anybody else didn't already know or think. Nobody's mind was changed today in the sense of we knew everything that was in there. What else? The movie or the book, it's all the same. Nothing new came out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The finding indicates that the president was not exculpated for the acts that he allegedly committed.
That's Bob Mueller, and I'm just going to say something right off the top here. He's a good dude. He served his country, Vietnam vet, was wounded in the line of duty, Bronze Star winner. He has not acquitted himself well. This is not a good look for his legacy. He's almost 75 years old. This has been you could tell it's trying as it's gone on throughout the day, that it's wearing on him, that it's trying on him. He did not want to be here. But this is what it is. We have gotten to the point where everything that this president does needs to be investigated, needs to be fact-checked to the point where if he said it was 6 when really was 7, that's wrong. So this is what it's become. So today's about gotcha questions. It's about going out there and getting your 5 minutes of fame. And that's what this is about. It started with the NAD. I call him the NAD, right? Wants to know, hey, if he left, could you?
Could you charge the president with a crime after he left office?
Yes.
Oh, could you? Of course. Charge anybody with a crime, right? President of the United States could leave office and commit a crime. He's not above the law. Well, but Oprah. The whole thought is, if it wasn't for this letter, they could have charged him with obstruction. That's just it. If it wasn't for the letter, right? Office of Legal Counsel, OLC, if it wasn't for this letter right here, we could have charged him with obstruction if there was obstruction. So Hakeem Jeffries had the big gotcha moment so far that the media's talked about, right? The big gotcha question. Remember, so you had that, you got the judiciary, which is going to be more about obstruction, right, with Nadler and everybody, then Schiff, which is more about intelligence, Russia, the whole 9 yards. He said it on more than a few occasions. Yeah, you know what? There was no collusion. We couldn't put anything together for there. There was, too much insufficient evidence for any of that. So now it goes to the obstruction, and that's just it. The whole thing is, can we paint a picture? Because America doesn't really know because they didn't read it. Oddly enough, most of the Congress people I talked to and the senators I've talked to didn't read it all the way through. That's what they have people for. They want the little bits and pieces that they think are going to be good. Some of them did. A good majority of them didn't. But Hakeem Jeffries is the one who laid the entire obstruction out from top to bottom. And this is what the media focused on.
Donald Trump, 1, committed an obstructive act. 2, connected to an official proceeding. 3, did so with corrupt intent. Those are the elements of obstruction of justice. This is the United States of America. No one is above the law. No one. The president must be held accountable one way or the other.
So everybody focuses on that because he laid it out in such a way, right? And Mueller didn't push back. Other people didn't push back. But Mueller did say something afterwards that very few people are talking about. So Hakeem goes on this entire thing. It's a 5-minute thing. You know, could he have done this? Could he have done that? Would this rise to the level of obstruction and the whole 9 yards? And then Mueller fires off something that was a little bit out of character for him.
Well, let me just say, if I might, I don't subscribe necessarily to your the way you analyze that. I'm not saying it's out of the ballpark, but I'm not supportive of that analytical charge.
Thank you.
So what he's saying is, I don't buy what you're trying to do here. You're trying to make it. He understands. Like, Mueller understands. Like, you're trying to make this, do we have a gotcha moment? As if this is going to get to the point where America is going to wake up and go, oh, yeah, total obstruction. Total obstruction, right? Total obstruction. This is exactly what it is. This is it. It's obstruction. Right here. We've got it. Oh. The reality for you and I and everybody else, we're watching this, right? Throughout the day, you take a peek, you hear some sound bites here and there. Everybody's getting in there. I'm going to get this in here right there, and I'm going to get this here, and we're going to do this, and each side's going to have their moment in the sun. Who's going to have that big moment, that oomph moment? He's had to answer some questions I know he didn't want to answer. And he's also had to sit there and allow both sides, in particular the Republicans, fire at him shot after shot after shot after shot.
Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusation started. Maybe it's to go back and actually figure out why Joseph Nipson was lying to the FBI. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. That's exactly what Bill Barr's doing.
Yeah. Because there are some questions that I have about how this whole thing started. There are some questions about this. And I think a lot of people, like, how did we get here? How did this Steele dossier, those are real questions that we should be asking. But it's theater. If you didn't like Trump yesterday, you don't like him today. If you thought he was guilty of everything, even though Mueller's come out and has said, look, as far as obstruction, I'm not going to go there. And the reason, and one of the reasons, like when he went and that Hakeem Jeffries, that exchange there where he's like, well, I see what you're trying to do, but I don't subscribe to what you're trying to do. And the reason is he knew he couldn't indict him. So going down that road would have been a waste of time. It would have been. And it would have been tough to prove. Most lawyers will say, look, it's tough to prove. You could say, I want to fire that guy. I'd love you to get rid of that guy. But if you don't actually do it and you allow it to go all the way from the beginning to the end, saying something and doing something totally different. Do I think he wanted it absolutely stopped? Yeah, you bet you can. Yes, I did. You think he wanted to fire him? If he could have, he would have. And he could have. But in the end, did it actually happen or did it go all the way through?
Is the Attorney General supposed to be the Attorney General of the United States of America or the consigliere for the President?
United States of America.
Thank you, sir.
It's theater. Your mind's not going to get changed by this. And we're going to touch about this stuff. And we're also going to talk about the fact that this sounds awful, but here's the reality of it. The way that they're playing Mueller today, both sides are doing it. You can see he's struggling. And they're going to play it fast. They're going to confuse him at times. He's not as familiar. I mean, it's 498 pages. It's not like he knows everything that's on there. Because a lot of it was put together as a puzzle piece. So you sent people over here to work on this. They bring you back. Here's the findings of this. And then here's this. And then you write the report. And then you put it all together. So there's a lot to it. But you can tell that it's quick. There's numbers, fast, turning this, that, and the other. And think about this for a second. He's got to remember all 498 pages, right? That's what they're looking at. Do you remember this? Is this what you said? Is this what you said? This what you said? Do you see why when lawyers say don't talk to anybody? Because they're looking for the gotcha moment on him, just as much as they are trying to find something with Trump. They're trying to break him down to say, ha-ha, look, you were incompetent. You screwed the pooch. You screwed it up. Yeah, boom, it's over. Goodbye. We can't listen to anything you say. It's a mess. So they are coming in with, okay, I'm going to focus on these 3 pages. I've read them thoroughly 80 times. I've highlighted. I've got my questions down. I'm ready. He doesn't know what's coming. He doesn't know what's coming. And I feel bad watching him. I do. I feel bad at times watching him because he looks uncomfortable. He looks overmatched. He does. And they're coming. And the Republicans are coming to protect their president. And the Democrats are coming to paint a picture for the American people of, you didn't read it, but let us give you just snidbits of everything that's inside of here that's going to show you that we were right, that this president is corrupt, that this president is evil, that although he didn't knowingly, if you will, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, work with the Russians, he was totally fine with what the Russians did. On top of all of those things, he did try to stop this investigation from going on in numerous ways, from behind the scenes to tweets to trying to influence all kinds of things. He tried to do that. And now we've got to make a decision. Does it rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors or not? But none of that matters unless the public cares. And I don't think the public has an appetite for any of this. I think they care about the rising cost of health care, the immigration process that's not happening in the Senate or in the House. I mean, think about this. All the time wasted today when we could be working on other things. And some of that is going on, but we don't hear about that. And the frustration that people have. Nobody gets any kind of extra bonus today. Nobody gets a raise out of this today. Nobody gets any of that. So while they're painting the picture that they hope is going to change your mind, the reality is it's probably not going to change your mind. Just like memes didn't change your mind in the last election, just like false information didn't change your mind in the last election, the reality is your mind was made up long before. It's hard to change people's minds when everybody knows pretty much everything about that candidate. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. A lot of stuff to get to. More of this. It's craziness. The gotcha moments. More of Mueller struggling at times, and his answers are short at times. He seems a little terse, but he does seem confused. And that, to me, is kind of a sad thing, especially when you find out the history of this guy and the stuff that he's done for our country. Don't care what side of the aisle you're on. He has served our country. And to watch some of this break down today, I just feel like it's a little slick talking, a little fast talking, and a little bit of confusion. Lawyer speak to a lawyer. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Got a poll up. We'll touch on that. More of Mueller as well. Plus, those immigration raids. I want to touch on this. How many did we actually get or didn't we get? Wounded Paw, an amazing organization. Been working for them for a while. And, my love of animals. And it is just an incredible organization. And what they do is, what first got me interested is the story of how many vets are committing suicide. On average, 20 veterans a day commit suicide. My uncle was a veteran. He passed away. He gave up on life. I wish he would have had an opportunity like this to have something there that was for him, that wasn't his family, because that wasn't enough. There was just something else, and that's what these animals provide. They rescue dogs, shelter dogs, train them to be service dogs, and then get them to the people that need them, veterans, first responders, and their families, but they need your help. It's expensive to train these dogs. Go to woundedpawproject.org. Check out everything. Car, truck, RV, plane, if it floats, if it flies, if it drives, or doesn't, but you want to get rid of it, they'll take it. Great tax-deductible gift. They take cash as well, but they need your help. You're going to be saving a paw to save a life. Go to woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org, or call 844-678-4PAW, 844-678-4729, or woundedpawproject.org. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Facebook will pay a record $5 billion fine to the Federal Trade Commission for privacy violations. CEO Mark Zuckerberg holding an employee town hall meeting announcing changes will be coming.
Privacy is more central than ever to our vision for the future, and we're going to change the way that we operate across the whole company, from the leadership down and the ground up.
Facebook also announcing now it is a focus of a separate government antitrust investigation.
Yeah, they don't care. It's too late. The cat's out of the bag. Nobody trusts you. Nobody trusts Google. Nobody trusts any of you anymore. We get it. Our data is more important to advertisers and to other people. Some who just want to advertise and are harmless, and others who want to spy and or do nefarious things. So we do not trust you. I've got to be honest, Mark. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I'm just saying I'm feeling like I don't trust you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. So the other day, there was a lunch shaming, they called it, where they sent out letters in this Pennsylvania town for $22,000 in past and overdue lunch expenses from the cafeteria that the kids hadn't paid. And apparently there was a threat inside these letters of what? We're going to take your kids away, put them in foster care. People freaked out about that. $22,000. Oh, my God. Well, wait, there's a twist in the story now.
Wyoming Valley West School District's board president, already under fire for sending letters to parents saying their children would be placed in foster care if they didn't pay outstanding lunch bills, has rejected an offer by La Colombe Coffee Roasters co-founder Todd Carmichael to pay for the lunches. He's pledged $22,000 and telling local ABC affiliate,
I know what it's like to be the poor kid. You know, I lost my dad when I was very young. I don't want that for anybody.
School administrator Joe Muth reacting to the letters.
In writing, we could have toned it down a notch.
Carmichael says his offer still stands. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Yeah. And the thing is, the guy's just saying, look, there's a lot of people that owe money. They can pay this. They've got the means to pay this. They're not doing it. Harsh as it may be, but no, we're going to pass because these people owe it. And you know, I like that. Hold them accountable, right? If you owe something, you pay it. Even if you got to make payments to it. Act like you're trying to do something. Little personal responsibility, right? And we get it. Sometimes people fall on hard times and there's issues. That I totally understand. And apparently they're working in the school year, potentially this year, they'll be on a federal program where school lunches and stuff will be provided for the kids so they don't have to worry about stuff like that as far as payment goes. So I kind of like that. I think it's kind of neat. It's like, you know what? No, they can pay it. You don't have to do it. Somebody doesn't always have to come to the rescue. They have some of these people, he said, I know some of these people have the means to pay it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Got a poll question up. Anything change as far as you're concerned with the Mueller and testifying today, the hearings? Most of you said, nah, nothing changed. 35% say, why are we doing this? It's kind of where I'm at right there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Today, the American people heard directly about what the special counsel investigation uncovered as to Russia's interference in the 2016 election and the president's cooperation with it and obstruction of justice.
Nadler, the Nad Dog. Did America learn anything new? I mean, to be honest, everybody's been talking about this ad nauseum forever and a day, right? I try to avoid it as much as possible. Once they did the last, thing and he held his press conference a few months ago, I didn't care about it anymore. Everybody stopped talking about Russia, right? There are some places that's all they talk about, right? It's all they talk about. Elections coming in 2020. If you want them out, get them out. The book and the movie are the exact same. Nothing changed. You learned nothing today. You were hoping to show the American people, you didn't read it, here's what's in it. But the Mueller investigation, followed by the Barr judgment call, which is also a Mueller judgment call, followed by the Mueller press conference, followed by today's hearings, you heard what you wanted to hear. That's it. You heard what you wanted to hear. He wasn't exonerated, but he wasn't found guilty. But he wasn't exonerated, but he also wasn't found guilty. But he what? We learned nothing. Nothing changed. Nobody was. Well, he's un-American. You thought he was un-American a long time ago. Nobody's minds were changed. Whatever you wanted to hear, you got it today. That's it. You got it today. That's what Trump can go out there and to me, it's like two boxers, right? So they go and they box. You ever see this? This past weekend, Pacquiao fought Keith Thurman, right? End of the fight, both of them raised their arms. They're walking around like the champions. They're walking around. Everybody's got their arms. But both thought they won the fight. It was a draw. The one, and the difference is right now, who has the belt? Well, the Republicans do. So because it was a draw by default, they still got to keep the belt. So they kind of won. You had to do more than, quote unquote, the champ. And they didn't. Well, Chad, he's un-American. He's bad. He's evil. You thought that anyways, right? Let's remember where a lot of this stuff started. Let's remember Christopher Steele, the dossier, also Russian and British, not American. It doesn't matter. The American people want to know about health care. They want to know, what are you guys doing to fix health care? The American people look around saying, hey, we got an immigration problem, a crisis, emergency, whatever you want to call it. Let's fix it. How are you not fixing this? How are you not getting this done? What is going on here that you guys can't come to some sort of just like, hey, we got a great idea. Fix something here. It's awesome. We're going to come together. There's a great article today. It's in the Detroit News. And a guy by the name, he's a sophomore Republican by the name of Paul Mitchell. And he gave a speech today on the floor right before all this stuff happened. And I've got a bit of it. But he's done with politics. He's done with politics. And you can hear it in his voice, just how upset he is. He's just done with it. He's done with politics. And he says, you can't get anything done here. They're not interested in doing a job. They're only interested in looks and politics. They're interested in sound bites. They're interested in how they can raise money. They're interested in all that. Bipartisanship is dead. Not that we don't get along, not that we're not friends, but we cannot work together, even if we want to, because it's no longer about the people. It's all about the politics. And he's like, I got a 9-year-old kid at home, right? 63 years old. I'm not going to miss my life with my child so I can sit here and watch people do absolutely nothing. And the Republican Party's kind of pissed off about it. Not that they're going to lose that seat in Michigan. They're not. But I get what he's saying. The politics of it all. Nobody's interested in the truth. Right? There's no money in the cure. There's money in the disease. Right now, the disease in D.C. is good. It's good. Every one of these people that had the chance to have their 5 minutes today, you know what they did? They're out right now making sure their Twitter thing is blowing up. They're out right now making sure that their sound bites are everywhere they need to be. They're out right now making sure their face is on every single email that's being sent to somebody who may give them money. That's what they're doing. Whether it's immigration, healthcare, Russia, this right here is what it's all about. Raising money. It's not about the win or the loss for your side or the other side, right? It's not. Like, they take turns being the Globetrotters, right? Remember the Globetrotters? They used to play the Washington Generals. They were so awful. Every once in a while, because we're going to win now. We're going to do all the tricks. We're going to do this. Like, everybody's in on it. Nobody wants to get stuff done. That's frustrating, people. Nobody does. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated by that. And now you've got to look up and say, okay, so what's coming next, right? What's going to be coming next? And are they ready to take that next step and go for it? Are they ready for that?
Even after the nightmare of the last 2.5 years, the President of the United States will still not forswear receiving foreign help again. That to this point, the President still continues to call this Russian attack on our democracy a hoax, something that Director Mueller today directly refuted.
Yeah, it wasn't a hoax. They attacked us. Guess who's going to attack us? And I'll say this now, for not just this, but every election. Everybody who's our enemy. China, North Korea, Iran, Russia. Already China and and Iran are working on stuff. Who do you think they would like to see win? Do you think they'd like to see Trump lose? Right? Because Biden, who everybody says, everybody who says Biden's the one who could beat him, he's got more, electability across all walks of life on the Democratic side. He said, Emma, with those sanctions, Ron, we're going to get back in the deal. Who would? The reality is you didn't change your mind today. Now the question is how far do they want to go? Are they ready to impeach? And people are texting in and say, Chad, they should impeach him. It's absolutely. I got several, but more people are not like, I don't care. I'm getting tons of like, it doesn't matter to me. Right? The impeachment process, by the way, is not like 20 minutes. It is a long, drawn-out process. There's a chance that if they started this thing in September, October, we'd still be rolling with it by the time it got to through the primaries and a year from now into a situation where we're going to the conventions and the whole 9 yards. Maybe even longer with all of the preceding court battles that are going to go on. So, and all for what? To get there and have it die? To put your see, Nancy Pelosi's got to make a calculated risk here. I've got 89 or 90 people over here who all in safe districts, right? So they can afford to come out and have a disdain for this president to the point where they're willing to say, let's impeach him. But I've also got a bunch of other House members. They're not in that. They're in a position where Trump maybe won the district, right? Won their area. Or it was close for them last time. And if they're seen to be overreaching, people have a way to turn somebody like Trump or anybody who's in that situation potentially into a victim. And you're going to get caught up in the wash. A little collateral damage. She's got to weigh it. Because you're not going to get impeachment. Because you're not going to get 67 votes in the Senate. So scratch that. And secondly, you go and do something like this, and all of a sudden, not only did you not get impeachment, but you potentially lost some more seats in the Senate and potentially lost the House, and Trump's still there, comes out on the other side, and he wins. Then what? You have to be calculated. That's the thing. You have to be calculated. What are you going to do? That is the question. And Nancy is the one that everybody's looking at because she is the one that will ultimately decide whether or not they move on impeachment.
My position has always been whatever decision we made in that regard would have to be done with our strongest possible hand, and we still have some outstanding matters in the courts. It's about the Congress, the Constitution, and the courts.
Her and the American people. If 70% or 65% of the American people, 60% really want him impeached and they feel like this is something they want to go through and the road to go down in the whole 9 yards, then she'll look at it in a much different way. But if the American people feel like, you know what, at this point in time, we're close to an election, roll out the best person you have and we'll go from there. What else are you going to do? It's a fair question. Take the chance of potentially losing everything or see if you can gain back the House, hold the House, maybe gain the Senate and get the presidency. There's a choice there. Some will say go big or go home, but when your job's on the line, how big do you want to go? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. You can tweet at us. People are mad. Oh, Chad, you just don't see it. No, I see it. But once again, what are you willing to risk? Are you willing to risk another 4 years potentially of Trump and losing the House and losing more seats in the Senate and turning him into a sympathetic figure? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. This is the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
I want to touch on this ICE arrest that took place. So you had again, ICE has got their hands tied. When you look at, as I've gone through all of the stuff, we talked about Mueller, then we go to the Gallup poll and see what, from what people are talking about now, the issues that matter to them, it's immigration, the enforcement or lack of enforcement with immigration. You had the raid or failures to have raids the other day. And I found this to be interesting. So you have a group of people in Tennessee who are protecting somebody from being deported, who has an order of removal. Let's remember this. These were not people that were just picked up randomly by ICE. Order of removal. The judges looked at them and said, you do not meet the standards of asylum. You must go home. Here are your removal papers. You have 30, 60, 90 days to exit the country, whatever it is. They have it. So they've got a civil warrant, if you will, kind of thing, where now ICE can come pick you up and get you out of the country. But there's only so much they can do because it's civil. Right? It's not a criminal warrant. So their hands are pretty tied. Then you move to a place like Kansas City, where there was something a little bit different in the way that ICE acted.
It's time to kind of step out and take care of it.
For 25 minutes, ICE agents in Kansas City tried to make the arrest.
I still have rights.
But when Florencio Milan Vasquez refused to get out of his car, agents smashed his window and dragged him out, while his small children cried in the back seat and his partner recorded the incident.
Yeah, so totally different, because the way it is ICE can't come in. So if you've done nothing wrong and all you get is a civil, essentially they handle it as a civil matter, ICE can't apprehend you by coming in your house or taking you out of your car or doing these things. If there's any criminal, then they can come at it in a much different way. So this past raid, that big thing, they actually got 1,000 people, 35 of them total in the raid. But there was also 1,000 people that had criminal orders of removal that they did catch. So people are upset. Well, wait a minute here. Why is this person over here essentially allowed to stay in their car and people can line up around them and they can get them into the house and ICE doesn't go in there? But in this situation, they'd bust a window and pull this person out.
Today, she spoke out.
I just want people to know that this is happening in our community, that this is real, and it can happen to anybody.
Calling Milan Vasquez a fugitive with a prior criminal history that includes misdemeanor offenses, ICE stands by the arrest while community outrage grows.
Yeah, of course it's going to grow. But ICE stands by the arrest. People are upset about it. But orders of removal, that's the thing to me that is vitally important, is they've gone through the system, right? The system is this. You want asylum. You've come here. You've applied. You've done everything. You've had your day in court. You may have had another day in court. Then they've looked at you and adjudicated, no, you cannot be here. You do not rise to the standards of what it is to get asylum in this country. You're not being persecuted for your religion or your political beliefs. You're here for financial gain, and that's it. So you must return home. And still, it's not good enough for people. And people are upset, and people are pissed, and people are angry because they want it to be good enough.
Floor? In Nashville, a similar scene, but neighbors here formed a human chain preventing the arrest of a migrant outside his home. After a nationwide immigration sweep that aimed to net 2,000 people, today ICE says only 35 have been arrested so far. In a separate operation, nearly 900 immigrants, many with criminal records, were arrested. Tonight, their work remains under scrutiny.
Yeah, and it's going to be. But criminal, this guy had a record, misdemeanors or not, they felt they could go a little bit further, where when the other people guarded the person that was here illegally and had orders to leave, they couldn't break that chain or do anything because it was more of a civil matter as opposed to what they were looking at as a criminal matter. Whether you like ICE or not, they're not going anywhere, right? Like, people think if we got rid of ICE tomorrow that nothing's going to take its place. Right? Like, oh, we're just going to abandon it all and nothing will take its place. No, we need to have enforcement, and we need to be able to get the bad people out of here. Was this person bad? Probably not. Probably not a horrible human being. I'm going to go out there on the limb and say, nah, probably not. But at the same time, we also have rules and laws. And he had his day in court, and the court said, nah. So if we're not going to follow that, then why are we doing any of it? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Over the course of my career, I've seen a number of challenges to our democracy. The Russian government's efforts to interfere in our election is among the most serious.
Yeah.
I am sure that the committee agrees.
100%. That right there is Bob Mueller. That's the reality. Look, Russia, I don't care what Trump says, Russia interfered. You know who else interfered? China, North Korea. Everybody's interfering. We're all getting into it. Russia just had a bigger play, and we paid more attention to it because Trump won. I mean, if Trump wouldn't have won, we wouldn't be talking about Russia today. We wouldn't be talking about any of that stuff. That's the reality of this. People are still trying to go, what the hell happened? How did he become president? How did we get here? How did this happen? I'm more worried about what's going to happen in the next election. Because Trump's still there, obviously. You've also got Biden, and Biden has signaled his hey, you know what, China, we'll get you, we'll get rid of these things, and we'll get back into this thing, Iran, and we'll lift those sanctions. You don't think other people are going to do this? Yes. Now, will they play a game like the Russians did, as successful? No, I think we're ready for it. It'll be different. But I think people are more aware. In saying that, in the end, did anybody change their vote? Here's where you can do something, right? Here's where you can go out there and you can change people's minds or put stuff in people's minds that will give them pause for concern when nobody knows anything about the candidates. If they were two unknown candidates that we knew nothing about, right? As far as we're concerned, they had a blank canvas. We knew nothing about them. Then pictures being painted by other people could potentially have changed our minds. But we knew everything about them. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of that stuff. Every single thing that you think that you knew about somebody, right? You probably knew more about these candidates than parts of your family. That is the reality. I still have questions on how we got here. I think that's a very fair question. I think that's what you're going to see as everything breaks down, including the Barr investigation of how we got to this. What's this all about? How do we get to a point where we were, again, spying, investigating, whatever it is, another campaign for somebody who was running at the time to be president of the United States, an administration that had endorsed the other side.
Fusion GPS, Steele, and other Confederates fed these absurdities to naive or partisan reporters and to top officials in numerous government agencies, including the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the State Department.
That's Devin Nunes today delivering his opening salvo. And you're going to hear a lot more about Fusion GPS going forward because that's what a lot of this was based on. So opposition research that also happened to have Russian intel, that also happened to have somebody who essentially put together took liberties, if you will, and at times almost made it a fiction novel into a faction novel, as they tried to do. And it just that's what we've gotten ourselves to right now. And so today, all of this stuff happening, it's how the media covers it. Because if you watch Fox, you're going to get more Devin Nunes than you're going to get Adam Schiff. If you watch MSNBC, you're going to get more Adam Schiff than you would Devin Nunes. You're going to get more Hakeem Jeffries, right, than Matt Gaetz. You're also going to get stuff taken in sound bites out of context without figuring out, okay, wait, what? right? Hakeem Jeffries breaks down from 1 to 3 everything that could happen with obstruction all the way through, getting some yes and no answers from Mueller. And then you don't get Mueller's response at the end. It paints the picture as if, oh. So how the media covers it is, look, for all of, I can make a case, and I think a pretty damn good case, for all of the Russia interference. Our news media, who also got sucked up into it, played just as much a part and has continued to do so in this battle that's going on politically. From immigration to race to Russia, they're as much a part of it as anybody else. I mean, so I flip around once a week, depending on, I'll go from station to station, MSNBC one day, CNN, Fox, Telemundo. I'm just kidding, not Telemundo. But you turn on MSNBC or you turn on CNN, and you'll sit there and you go, okay, well, you've got 8 people on a panel and all 8 can't stand the president. Like that's you're delivering opinion wrapped in what's supposed to be news. So how the media covers this is as important as anything else that comes out of today. But we like to go to what? What makes us comfortable? What makes us comfortable? Well, I believe this. And that's why when they talk about Russia, and the collusion and this, that, and the other, and all the things they did to influence, the fact is they didn't influence anybody. People were sharing information that may be disinformation or half-truths to people that already believed it. Right? If you loved Hillary and you got something negative, you weren't going to share it. If you got something negative about Trump, your belief system, you would, and vice versa. All they did was rabble-rouse the crowds. That was it. And if you went in and changed your vote based on a meme, you're an idiot. And you shouldn't be voting. And you should not be voting. But today was and is exactly what everybody thought it was going to be. A day that is all about the people asking the questions and their 5-10 minutes of fame that they'll all run out and they'll do all. I can tell you what Adam Schiff's going to do, right? He's going to do the things that he does.
Your report laid out multiple offers of Russian help to the Trump campaign, the campaign's acceptance of that help, and overt acts in furtherance of Russian help. To most Americans, that is the very definition of collusion.
But you said there was no collusion. But that's Adam Schiff. Again, that's what he's going to do. Those are the things that he's going to do. And then he's going to run later on and saying, I think we saw today exactly what Bob Mueller said, is there was collusion. There just wasn't any insufficient evidence to actually get to the point where we could have gone after him. And so does it rise to the level of this? But then you're saying Bob Mueller's a liar and that his thing's a lie. One thing that he's been steadfast on is, look, there wasn't any collusion. That's it. I don't know how many times that's it.
We found insufficient evidence of the president's culpability.
So that would be a yes.
Without, pardon?
That would be a yes.
Yes.
There you go. Well, Chad, insufficient evidence doesn't mean he did. Well, this is about what? Essentially, this is the court of social law. Because socially, everybody's talking about this, so we're trying to make it so, well, you get what I'm saying here. Well, you couldn't convict, right? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And based on all of the evidence, and based on all of the people he went after, and based on all the subpoenas and all of this stuff, it was what? Just no, we couldn't. Now, the obstruction of justice thing, Do I think Trump wanted to obstruct justice? I think he wanted the whole damn thing stopped, right? If you were being investigated right now, let me ask you this, right? If you were being investigated at this moment in time for something, would you want that stopped? Whether you did it or not, would you want it stopped? No, I would want to see the whole thing through. Well, it went all the way through. But would you want it stopped? Well, probably. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Let's switch gears for a second. I want to talk about, remember the raid. Remember that big raid? Well, the numbers are in.
The bar was set high last month when President Trump said that more than 2,000 people would be picked up during Operation Border Resolve. Once it had begun,
many were taken out on Sunday. You just didn't know about it.
Now Matthew Albence, the acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, says that 35 migrants targeted under the operation were apprehended. He insists that it isn't over, that ICE will continue to look for people who have been ordered out of the country.
Yeah, and okay, so many were caught, almost 1,000 were caught, who had criminal records, extremely serious criminal records, almost 1,000. But the 2,000 everybody thought was 35, of which 18 of them were essentially guilt by association, which means 17 had orders of removal. The other 18 were either trying to shield or just happened to be caught up in it and also weren't here legally. So that was that. Oh, yeah. So it wasn't that massive, huge deal a lot of people thought it was going to be. And ICE is having troubles right now. ICE is having serious troubles because of, between the Tennessee, the little town there where they're shielding ICE from getting people like, well, why didn't ICE do this, that, and the ICE could not get to it. If you don't know the story, they had a order of removal to get somebody out, right? So order of removal to get somebody out. He was in the car with his kids. In theory, ICE can't go in there. It's a civil matter. There was a group of people that shielded ICE from getting to him. ICE couldn't break that to get to him. So essentially, their hands were tied. They want you to kind of give up. I got into an argument last night with somebody. They're like, well, this is because it's brown people. I'm like, you don't know who the 2,000 people are that have an order of removal. You don't know what color they are. You don't know where they're from. You just assume that it's that. It could have been 1,500 people from Europe, China, Japan, Australia. You don't know. It's just 2,000 people that have removal orders. Most of the people, and this is the big issue we talk about with their immigration, most of the people that have orders for removal are people that have gone through the system. The people that come here on visas and overstay their visas, that's a real issue that needs to be dealt with. Mostly Europeans, and it needs to be dealt with. A lot of Canadians, absolutely, needs to be dealt with. They need to be sent back. Period. Case closed. But people automatically assume that it's because it's a brown person. Well, you've also been through the process. If you go through the process, and the process, you don't like the outcome, right? See, Democrats right now don't like the outcome of the Mueller investigation. That's still the process. And you said you were going to trust that process. So either you do or you don't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I had to get a lot of sleep last night. My Pillow, thank you so very much. I got a ton of sleep. Incredible. Last night, I slept, let's take a look at my sweet watch here. It tells me about my sleeping habits. I got over 6 hours and 40 minutes of sleep last night. Boom, baby. Thank you. And that included a massive thunderstorm that shook the hotel I was in last night like it was an earthquake. It was incredible. It was so amazing. Fell right back to sleep. Just awesome. Limited time for my listeners. 60-day money-back guarantee. You're going to get 2 premium pillows. Machine washable and dryable. Made in the USA, 10-year warranty. You're going to get a 60-day money-back guarantee. Free shipping. Less than $70. Coming straight at you. Here you go. You ready for it? Go to MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code is Benson. Or you can call them on the cellular phone, right? Pick up the phone. Old style, call 800-983-4975. Use the promo code Benson. Free shipping, 60-day money-back guarantee, less than $70 for 2 premium MyPillows. Get it now. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo! For all that went on today, for all that happened today, what led Google Trends through most of the day was a search for a person by the name of Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer was probably best known for playing a rogue replicant in 1982's Blade Runner.
Time to die.
Telling us he was really proud of that role.
You know, I'm really happy the way it turned out and the way people carry me around, for like a lifetime.
The Dutch actor's Hollywood movie debut was in 1981's Nighthawks, playing a terrorist bomber opposite Sylvester Stallone and Billy D. Williams. With over 170 credits to his name, Hauer had 5 projects in the works when he died. Rutger Hauer was 75.
But that's what led Google Trends. So what does that mean? While all of this was happening, everybody's telling me this is the story. And, we talk about it because this is what we do. It took forever for it to catch up. And still, Mueller testimony is finally number 1. But before that, it was Rutger Hauer and National Tequila Day. And Bindi Irwin apparently got engaged. Bindi Irwin. That is, for those you don't know, the crocodile hunter's daughter. Michael Moore tweeted out, a frail old man, unable to remember things, stumbling, refusing to answer basic questions. I said it in 2017, and Mueller confirmed it today. All you pundits and moderates and lame Dems who told the public to put their faith in the esteemed Robert Mueller, just STFU from now on. Trump tweeted out, even Michael Moore agrees that the Dems and Mueller blew it. Oh, my God. Come on. Got to laugh a little bit. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Nike. An old pair of Nikes sold yesterday for $437,500. It's called the Moon Shoe. They were designed for runners at the 72 Olympics. It's one of the first that Bowman, the creator of Nike, came up with. That was back in the day when he would use waffle irons to get the tread. So he'd make the waffle thing, the little waffle irony thing come down, the little machine, to get that kind of tread. $437,000. The guy who bought it, Miles Nadal, the week before paid almost $900,000 for 99 other pairs of rare or limited collection sneakers from Sotheby's. Think about that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love, hate, indifference. It's all good, kids. We're friends here. We can talk. It's okay. We're a family. Family of fun. We fight together, we laugh together, we cry together. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
During the course of this Russian interference in the election, the Russians made outreach to the Trump campaign, did they not?
That occurred over the course of, that occurred.
It's also clear from your report that during that Russian outreach to the Trump campaign, no one associated with the Trump campaign ever called the FBI to report it. Am I right?
Don't know that for sure.
In fact, the campaign welcomed the Russian help, did they not?
I think we have. We report in the report indications that occurred. Yes.
That right there is Adam Dipschiff and Bob Mueller. And Bob Mueller's having some struggles today. You could tell he's confused at times, trouble of hearing. It's not been a great day for him. Let's not take away all the things he's done for this country, his service, not only serving in Vietnam and being wounded there, but what he did as the FBI director and whatnot. And this has not been his finest moment. As he rides off into the sunset, I think the last thing he wants the world to think is, well, I was a bumbling idiot. It's the gotcha questions. That's all it is today. It's the gotcha questions, right? From the Adam Schiffs of the world, in the intelligence side, having to deal with Russia and collusion, which Mueller said there is none, right? I don't know how many times we go over this, but he has said no, there wasn't any. Did he welcome the help? Did he think it was funny? Yeah, probably. He probably did think it was funny. When he said that day, can you look for her emails? I sat there and laughed. So did many other people. Did I think it was going to come to this? No. I don't think anybody did. But what you have today is political theater. You've got both sets of people that have outlined the things that they want to hit upon. And then you've got a guy who headed up the investigation, who has to try to remember all 498 pages while they're remembering the 3 or 4 talking points that they want to get to. So Adam Schiff, as you can see there, is going after Russia, Russia, Russia. But as he reminded the earlier session, because you had the judicial, which was more about obstruction, then you've got the Russia, which is what the Intelligence Committee was drilling down on him.
We found insufficient evidence of the president's culpability.
So that would be a yes.
Pardon?
That would be a yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's yes. So insufficient evidence of culpability means there was nothing there. I mean, if you would have went to court, you'd have lost poorly. There was just nothing there. You wanting to take him to court, you wanting him to be guilty, doesn't make it so. So, we're moving on. Right? The obstruction stuff, there's a story there. And the story is we don't know. And we will never know. We'll never know the entire truth about any of this. We will never know the entire truth about any of this when it comes to obstruction. Offhanded remarks, or were they real remarks? I want you to fire him. God, I want this guy fired. I want him gone. Put it on paper, looks totally different. How serious was it? How serious wasn't it? In the end, he finished his entire investigation. But they knew he could not go down that path of obstruction. He knew. Because of an OLC, that's the Office of Legal Counsel, has said, there's a letter out there, cannot indict a sitting president. So why would you go down a path that you know that the only thing you're going down this path to do is to indict him or to not indict him? You're not here to clean up anything. And there's no reason to go down it, right? If no matter what happens, it doesn't benefit you any and it wastes time. On to the Russia thing. If you're on the right, you believe it's a giant joke, and you can point to many other things that I think you have an absolute right to ask questions about when it comes to Fusion GPS. How much of it was BS? How much stuff did they have to do with Russians playing a game over here? We always think it's just one side. Might I say that, you know what? Both sides, I think, danced a little bit closer to the fire.
There is collusion in plain sight. Collusion between Russia and the Democratic Party.
Right.
The Democrats colluded with Russian sources to develop the Steele dossier.
That's a fair question to ask on both sides. But what is, when you sit here, though, so you listen to all this stuff all day, like you think to yourself, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I listen to all this stuff. Well, do I really care? I mean, is it changing your mind? No, it's not. You liked him. You didn't like him. You didn't like him. It's not. You're not having anything here that's changing your mind. There's a new Gallup poll out about the things that Americans care about, the most important problems in the United States today. What matters to you? What's important to you? Number 1, immigration. Number 2, government and poor leadership. And that's not just, oh, Trump's a horrible person. That's leadership everywhere, right? From top to bottom. Race relations, health care, tied for 3. Environment, unifying the country and the economy, 4 or 5. Poverty, education, lack of respect. I'm looking here and I do not see Russia. I do not. I don't see any of those things. Issues was the highest percentage of mentions from U.S. problems. And these are polls from 2001 all the way up to today. Economy, number 1, almost 60%. That's what we care about. These things are important because we need to keep our leaders accountable. I think you guys realize that. We need to keep our leaders absolutely accountable. And if Trump has did something wrong, if there was something that was overwhelming, that you knew for a fact that this is what this is and we could see it in plain sight, then you know what? Damn, Skippy, you get him out of office and you prosecute him. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. That is the right thing to do. Nobody should be above the law. Now, in saying that, politicians, they kind of have their own laws, a little bit different than ours, right? So let's not pretend that and this goes for all politicians. But the reality is if that's it, if there was something there that was so massive, we wouldn't be having these hearings today. This isn't about Robert Mueller and his findings. Those things are done and dusted. He has not investigated anybody or talked to anybody since the day he said, I'm done. We're closing shop. Here's my report. I'm going to go hang out with my family. Nothing's changed. Nothing. They've all read the report. Nothing's changed. This isn't choose your own adventure. Nothing's changed. All the while, we weren't paying the same kind of attention. We weren't. Because we're trying to pay for what? Our lives. Our mortgage. Our health care. The kids' school. The soccer practice, the sports, the all of the stuff. She wants to take violin lessons, and little Timmy over here is joining the Boy Scouts, and I got to go over there on Tuesday nights and do this, and all of that stuff is what's taking it up. It's not Russia. This is important to them, and this may bite the Democrats in the ass. Don't be surprised is if the polls come out next week and they say, well, Trump got a bump. Because often what we look at in situations like this is the person that they're trying to drill down on will kind of be a victim. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Immigration, though, right now, front and center. Front and center. What's getting done with immigration? Like, that's my thing. What's getting done? All of these things happening today. All of these muckety-mucks. All of these people there. What is going on that's affecting immigration? What's happening? Nothing. They're too busy running around, getting their 15 minutes of fame, saying, look at me, look at me. We need to hold our leaders accountable. I absolutely agree. And my thing is let's not waste the time of the American people and the taxpayer dollars. If there's something there, you retelling the story because you don't think the people got it, right? Like, this is what I feel like. Today, this is explaining the joke that wasn't that funny. And they think that you guys just don't get it, so they're going to explain it to you again? And then you're like, it's still not that funny. No, let me explain it to you again. But you're not listening to us. It's not that funny. Yeah, but I'm going to explain it to you again. You guys just aren't getting it. No, we get it. It's just not funny. We get the joke, right? We get the Russia thing. We're just kind of over it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You know what you could be doing? You could be working right now, listening to me on your new sweet headphones from Raycon. Incredible earbuds. No wires, no dangly stems, none of that stuff. Man, fits right in your ear. It is amazing. Great colors, half the price, better sound. Boom. Yes. Ray J, he's an entrepreneur. He's a musician. Helped found this company, put it together. He gets it. He understands true wireless audio technology. But he also wants to be hip, cool, and look great. Half the price of other premium wireless earbuds and so much better. So incredible. They don't look great. They look amazing. They don't sound great. They sound amazing. To say that they just sound great, no, they sound out of this world. Get yours now. And right now, my listeners, you choose from an array of colors. You're going to save 15%. You're going to love them. And the thing I love about it is so easy to set up. You pair really quickly. You have the little box. You plug them in. You have to plug in each individual one. It is so simple. And 15% off for my listeners. Get yours now. It's an amazing deal. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. 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 It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Mr. Mueller, would you agree with me that the Attorney General does not have the power to exonerate?
I'm going to pass on that.
Why?
Because it embroils us in a legal discussion, and I'm not prepared to do a legal discussion in that arena.
Oh. You watch him today, and we were talking about this off the air. Mueller's struggling, and it makes you think, is he okay? You know, I mean, it's this is a button-up guy. And this is his 89th or 90th time he's had to testify here. He's getting things wrong, things that are vitally important. Statements wrong. He looks confused, and people are asking the question also, how much of this did he play a part in? How much of this did he oversee? Did he just put his stamp on it at the end and was more of a just kind of somebody kind of running the show but not really involved in it? Sad. It is sad. But politics is being played today. But I think there's a fair question to ask here. Seeing this, man, this feels a little uncomfortable. It does. It feels just a smidge uncomfortable. He just looks out of it. Now, he has to remember everything in almost 500 pages comparatively to when you sit down and you got 5 minutes. You're going to pick and choose the things that you want to hit on, right? And you're going to know them inside and out. But he's definitely got, it just feels there's some, yeah. And here's something else to think about. He's kind of the same age as, I think Bernie may be a little bit older. And I think Joe's about the same. Just saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. People are tweeting in and texting in about what matters, because we were talking about the new Gallup poll, talking about immigration, the economy, healthcare costs, or the things that are top of mind right now for people who are going to be voting and what they're caring about. And, is this biting the Democrats and hurting them for 2020? I think they're, you're going to get that bump. You saw that with when the Republicans went after Clinton. He became a sympathetic figure. And even though he lied under oath, that was provable. Not, it could have been obstruction, might not have been. I didn't go down that road, and so make up your own minds. But, you're going to think he's either guilty or innocent. They knew this, but he still became a sympathetic figure. Clinton did. So I think this may bite him. This may bite them in the butt. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. What do you think? Got a poll question up today. Is anything that you're hearing so far changing your mind about the president and what took place? 43% say no. 15% say, I doubt it. No. And 42% of you are saying a lot of what America's thinking is why are we doing this? Why do we need two of these, by the way? Well, Chad, we needed the judicial and the intelligence. They're different. One was about obstruction and the whole Russia investigation. The other one's about Russia itself. Look, Russia played the game. But we should be talking about what are we doing to try to thwart their efforts coming up as much as anything else. But today is strictly about politics. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. This is about politics, and they want to make sure that everybody knows that nobody's above the law, and at any given time, if he leaves, he could be prosecuted. They could come. This is politics 101. Paint the picture, get the picture you want the people to see out there. It's like there's two directors, one directing the Democrats, one directing the Republicans. Which movie do you want to see? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
When the president said he had no business dealings with Russia, in fact, he was seeking to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, was he not?
I think there is some question about when this was accomplished.
Well, you would consider a billion-dollar deal to build a tower in Moscow to be business dealings, wouldn't you, Director Mueller?
Yeah, absolutely.
Adam Dipschiff and Bob Mueller there talking things out, getting it did. I think that the outcome of this isn't going to give the Democrats what they want. All the Republicans have to do today, really, in the court of public opinion, is just hold serve. They don't do anything else, right? This is all the Democrats. They're the subpoenas. All of this, they got him in there. This is what it's about. Bob Mueller does not sound great. And by the way, you can tell he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there. He's struggling. People are even questioning whether or not he's even competent. But the reality is you just hold serve. That's all you have to do. You hold serve. You walk away unscathed. And everybody puts this thing to rest once and for all about impeachment. And you go to 2020 and see what happens. That's what I'm getting from this today. I'm watching people. I'm listening to people. Like Robert Mueller could come out and say, well, he's done stuff and yeah, it's uncomfortable and, maybe not this, that, and the other. But you saying certain things. I mean, if we know anything about this president, saying things mean anything, right? Talked about WikiLeaks.
Problematic is an understatement in terms of what it displays in terms of giving some, hope or some boost to what is and should be illegal activity.
Yeah, talking about the whole leaking of the emails, this, that, and the other. And let's be 100% honest. WikiLeaks was going to leak them, whether it was, Jeb Bush or whatever. That's what they do. Look at what WikiLeaks. Trump praising them. No, I'm sorry. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that they hacked into stuff, but we did find out some stuff, right? We did find out some things that you looked at Hillary and went, I kind of expected that, but the Democratic Party as well, especially the stuff they did to Bernie, none of which I'm hearing about today. by the way. None of which I'm hearing about today. But you hold serve, and that's all you have to do. Just get through it, hold serve, talk about your side, get your 5-10 minutes of fame, run out and talk to Fox or MSNBC or CNN or whoever you're going to talk to, and get some memes about you, and then you move on from there. That's it. And that's what's going on right now.
This hearing is political theater.
Theater!
It's a Hail Mary attempt to convince the American people that collusion is real and that it's concealed in the report.
Hidden away. But it's not. It's not. Look in the report. Nothing's changed. Bob Mueller's not interviewed anybody since this thing's been done. Bob Mueller's not talked about or to anybody about any of this stuff. He didn't want to be here. It is evident. And he's struggling. This is not a good final look for Bob Mueller. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Let's check out Google Trends. I like doing this. What's trending right now? What is the big trend of the day? And first of all, so here's the thing. This is what's hilarious. So we're talking about all of this stuff, right? Like, this is the big thing, right? This is what's number one thing trending right this second in the United States. In the United States. Is it this? No. Number one trending thing on Google is Rutger Hauer. Dutch actor, Blade Runner, cool guy. He's dead. Passed away today at 75. National Tequila Day is number 2. Then you get this. Irwin is number 4. So it's interesting, right? Like we put it like it's all out there, but, an older generation probably cares more about this, right? And people who are politically active, they do. The average person's like, oh my God, Rutger Hauer died. And they're looking up going, some people are going, who the hell's Rutger Hauer? Why? And then other people go, oh, I remember that guy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. If you guys, I want to touch on this ICE arrest that took place. So you had again, ICE has got their hands tied. When you look at, as I've gone through all of the stuff, we talked about Mueller, then we go to the Gallup poll and see what, from what people are talking about now, the issues that matter to them. It's immigration, the enforcement or lack of enforcement with immigration. You had the raid or failures to have raids the other day. And I found this to be interesting. So you have a group of people in Tennessee who are protecting somebody from being deported, who has an order of removal. Let's remember this. These were not people that were just picked up randomly by ICE. Order of removal. The judges looked at them and said, you do not meet the standards of asylum. You must go home. Here are your removal papers. You have 30, 60, 90 days to exit the country, whatever it is. They have it. So they've got a civil warrant, if you will, kind of thing, where now ICE can come pick you up and get you out of the country. But there's only so much they can do because it's civil. Right? It's not a criminal warrant. So their hands are pretty tied. Then you move to a place like Kansas City, where there was something a little bit different in the way that ICE acted.
It's time to kind of step out and take care of it.
For 25 minutes, ICE agents in Kansas City tried to make the arrest.
I still have rights.
But when Florencio Milan Vasquez refused to get out of his car, agents smashed his window and dragged him out, while his small children cried in the back seat and his partner recorded the incident.
Yeah, so totally different, because the way it is ICE can't come in. So if you've done nothing wrong and all you have is a civil, essentially they handle it as a civil matter, ICE can't apprehend you by coming in your house or taking you out of your car or doing these things. If there's any criminal, then they can come at it in a much different way. So this past raid, that big thing, they actually got 1,000 people, 35 of them total in the raid. But there was also 1,000 people that had criminal orders of removal that they did catch. So people are upset. Well, wait a minute here. Why is this person over here essentially allowed to stay in their car, and people can line up around them and they can get them into the house and ICE doesn't go in there. But in this situation, they bust a window and pull this person out.
Today, she spoke out.
I just want people to know that this is happening in our community, that this is real, and it can happen to anybody.
Calling Milan Vasquez a fugitive with a prior criminal history that includes misdemeanor offenses, ICE stands by the arrest while community outrage grows.
Yeah, of course it's going to grow. But ICE stands by the arrest. People are upset about it. But orders of removal, that's the thing to me that is vitally important, is they've gone through the system, right? The system is this. You want asylum, you've come here, you've applied, you've done everything, you've had your day in court, you may have had another day in court, then they've looked at you and adjudicated, no, you cannot be here. You do not rise to the standards of what it is to get asylum in this country. You're not being persecuted for your religion or your political beliefs. You're here for financial gain, and that's it. So you must return home. And still, it's not good enough for people. And people are upset, and people are pissed, and people are angry because they want it to be good enough.
In Nashville, a similar scene, but neighbors here formed a human chain preventing the arrest of a migrant outside his home. After a nationwide immigration sweep that aimed to net 2,000 people, today ICE says only 35 have been arrested so far. In a separate operation, nearly 900 immigrants, many with criminal records, were arrested. Tonight, their work remains under scrutiny.
Yeah, and it's going to be. But criminal, this guy had a record, misdemeanors or not, they felt they could go a little bit further, where when the other people guarded the person that was here illegally and had orders to leave, they couldn't break that chain or do anything because it was more of a civil matter as opposed to what they were looking at as a criminal matter. Whether you like ICE or not, they're not going anywhere, right? Like, people think if we got rid of ICE tomorrow that nothing's going to take its place. Right? Like, oh, we're just going to abandon it all and nothing will take its place. No, we need to have enforcement and we need to be able to get the bad people out of here. Was this person bad? Probably not. Probably not a horrible human being. I'm going to go out there on the limb and say, nah, probably not. But at the same time, we also have rules and laws. And he had his day in court and the court said, nah. So if we're not going to follow that, then why are we doing any of this? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So from the hearing from Russia to earlier today, Hakeem Jeffries in the Mueller painted the picture of obstruction. And the things that you're going to hear in the media today, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, is you'll hear one side of it if you're on the left. He paints this great picture and then breaks it down for us at the end about obstruction.
Donald Trump, 1, committed an obstructive act. 2, connected to an official proceeding. 3, did so with corrupt intent. Those are the elements of obstruction of justice. This is the United States of America. No one is above the law. No one. The president must be held accountable one way or the other.
Yeah, no one is above the law. I agree with that 110%. So he makes this big grandstand, and in his 5 minutes, he gets, him to say stuff that favors what you would think would be, well, then he's obstructed justice. But what you don't hear is the chiming in afterwards. Because Bob Mueller does want to say something to set the record straight and realizes also what a political thing this is.
Well, let me just say, if I might, I don't subscribe necessarily to your the way you analyze that. I'm not saying it's out of the ballpark, but I'm not supportive of that analytical charge.
Thank you.
So what he said is, for those of you, I speak Mueller, even though he's struggling today, is I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm also not saying it is true. I don't, where you're taking it, how you're trying to get there, I'm not buying that. I understand what you're trying to do. You're making this political and you want the gotcha. But I'm not going to go there with you on that. That's on you. You're saying that, not me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Jobs. Every day I read about how hard it is to find employees, what employers are trying to do to get people to come and work, and it's so hard. right, to find that employee. That's where ZipRecruiter comes in. Check this out, ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. You're going to be able to post your job opening for free. And it is a challenge out there right now, right? Because candidates know they've got opportunities. So how do you differentiate yourself? How do you get your job noticed? How do you get that right person? Well, that's where ZipRecruiter comes in. They're going to send your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, right? But they're not going to stop there. They got powerful, smart matching technology, right? So they're going to scan thousands upon thousands of resumes. They're going to find the people with the experience you're looking for, and they're going to invite them to apply for your job. It is that easy. And then once that happens, they're going to scan those even more, and they're going to analyze the top candidates, so you're never going to miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. And right now, my listeners, that's you guys, for free at this exclusive web address, go to ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. That's ZipRecruiter.com/BENSON. You can try it for free today. Post your job. ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
The president tweeting and thanking Democrats for holding the Mueller hearing, suggesting that the report continues to exonerate Mr. Trump, even though Mr. Mueller testified it does not. The president preparing to watch the afternoon session before Adam Schiff, who chairs the Intelligence Committee. Mr. Trump calling the congressman Shifty Schiff.
Yeah, and it didn't get any better for the Democrats after that, I'll be honest with you. I think their big chance was earlier this morning for the obstruction side of things, and it didn't get any better in the afternoon session because we know, whether people want to believe it or not, whether he had contact or not, the fact is that Mueller and his team, and the more that you watched Mueller throughout the day, the more you realize that maybe the team had a lot more to do with it, because he struggled today. He did. It was not a good look for him. For all of the, and I've watched some of as what a kind of a wonky, weird guy that I am. I watched some of his past testimonies. C-SPAN had some on last night, right? Like they're showing like old, like you watch ESPN, they're like instant classic, and they'll go back like 5 years, and it's Auburn versus Alabama or something. Well, this was totally different. They had a bunch of stuff, and it is night and day. It is night and day. He struggled mightily today. And the Democrats, I think, are worse for wear out of this. They definitely did not come out of this looking like they had changed anybody's mind. The people that didn't like Trump still don't like Trump, but there is that small group in the center that looks at this and says, okay, you know what, maybe there was a little hanky-panky here and there potentially, but not enough to really do anything, and enough is enough. And I think that's the victory for Trump and the Republicans. If anything comes out of this, it's enough is enough. We've had enough. We're over it now. You guys have exhausted every single thing you possibly can. This was your final bite at the apple, and we're over it. So time to move on. It's just we're gonna go over here now. We're gonna focus on 2020. We're gonna look at that. We're gonna do those things. That's the and we'll see. We'll see. I mean, some of them I don't think want to give up the ghost at all. I think they're going to go as long as they possibly can. But I think if anything comes out of this, it's done, right? You can call it all you want, Adam Dipschiff.
Your investigation is not a witch hunt, is it?
It is not a witch hunt.
When the president said the Russian interference was a hoax, that was false, wasn't it?
True.
But it feels like a witch hunt. It does. It feels like a witch hunt. 100%. Did he say it was a hoax? Or did he say him being president, and the only reason he's president is because Russia? That's a hoax. Depends on how you look at it. Tomato, potato. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Thanks for spending time with me today, kids. I know it was a lot of Mueller. Speaking of Mueller, something you didn't know about him. Decorated in Vietnam War, Bronze Star, was wounded in action, was actually shot by an AK-47. Good dude. Didn't end well for him today, but good dude. Have a great rest of your day. As always, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.